Hi everybody, hope you're all doing well and welcome to my spoiler-free review of Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. The synopsis for Last Night at the Telegraph Club is it's set in sort of 1950s San Francisco, and you follow a teenage girl, Lily, who's just kind of going about her life and beginning to question her sexuality and meeting a girl called Kathleen in her maths class. The two become friends, and after Lily finds an advertisement for a male impersonator who will be performing at the local gay nightclub, the Telegraph Club, she and Kathleen both attend, and everything kind of goes from there. The Red Scare is full on at this point, and Lily's father is threatened with deportation back to China, and Lily kind of has to decide how far she's going to go for the love growing between her and Kathy. You get this truly just sweet story about this growing romance between these two girls and how they find the community and women who are just like them in a time period that is not welcoming to gay people and, you know, those that don't conform to the heteronormative lifestyle. I absolutely adored this book. I mean, I've read Melinda Lowe before with Ash and Huntress, which are sort of like almost some of my guilty pleasure books, but this honestly just absolutely knocks it out of the park. I was expecting to enjoy it, I was not expecting it to love it as much as I did. It's just such a sweet story about these two girls and the sort of tentative friendship that kind of that they have, and how that obviously becomes something else as the book goes on. I love how this book starts with Lily she's already questioning things about her sexuality. This isn't a book from sort of like start to finish. You sort of land in the middle of her already knowing that she's not quite like her parents, she's not quite like her friend who's always into boys and stuff. And it's the events of these story that simply solidify what she already knew about herself, kind of once she sees proof that women can love other women, that it's common and there's nothing wrong with it and nothing to be ashamed of. When Lily goes to the Telegraph Club, especially for the first time, I just love how you as the reader are just completely caught up in her sneaking out for the first time. It's going to a club with a fake ID. You really feel her excitement and her fear, and it's just really super tense as well, because obviously she's underage and she's sneaking out without her parents knowing. But like just in such a sort of fun, like that thrill of when you're a teenager and you're sort of having a bit of a rebellious phase kind of thing. I just really loved how in the moment you feel with Lily in this book. I love how the Telegraph Club as well as a setting becomes a sort of safe space for Lily and Kathy, where they don't have to worry about being caught together. If anything, the only thing they have to worry about is the fact that they're underage. I loved how this book introduces you to the idea of the underground gay community in the 50s and in San Francisco, and kind of what these sorts of clubs represented for the gay community during that time when they weren't allowed to be out and proud in public. It did a really, really great job of setting the scene, and especially the time period for the story. And what I also loved about this being set in the 50s, being set in a historical setting, is just that sense of we have always been here, queer people, we have always been here. Just because, there's always that thing that people like to be like, oh, it's just such a trend now, everyone's gay, everyone's not straight, and it's like, no, we have always been here, we have always had our community throughout history. This book provides an insight as to how they were able to do that by having these clubs and safe spaces for people to come to. It's just unapologetic, we have always been here, we're never going to go away. It's just that almost like sense of pride, pride with a capital P kind of thing going in, of just knowing that there was always people like you throughout history, despite the fact that history has tried to cover that up. Lily was a really great protagonist. I like how much agency she had in this story, and how, as I said earlier, this isn't a story about her discovering her sexuality. It's more a book about her confirming that and exploring who she is and how she fits into this world. I like how it balances her sort of dutiful daughter sort of personality. She's the daughter of Chinese immigrants, so she has to deal with a lot of the expectation that sort of comes with that, and she definitely conforms to what her parents want out of her, especially at the beginning of the book. But as the book goes on, she really finds her rebellious streak with sneaking out to go to the club, drinking, and I like how it balanced her wanting to please her parents, but also deciding that she wants to be her own person and find her own way in life, and she wants to be as true to herself as she can. So there's only so far really that she's going to let her parents extort influence over her and stuff. I like what the Telegraph Club represents for her character and how she's able to find out just who she is by being there and spending her time with Kathleen. And the writing is absolutely fantastic. I really have to talk about it because, like I said, I have read Melinda Lowe's books in the past, Ash and Huntress, and also another one that was an adaptation which I didn't like as much. And I've always found the writing and the descriptions in those to just be a bit clunky. So I can absolutely say that she has improved so much as a writer when you get to Telegraph Club. It's, as I said earlier, you just really feel like you're in the moment with Lily. You're going through this with her. You're going through this exciting and this rebellion against her parents, feeling her find her community and understanding of herself. You just feel like you're experiencing it right alongside her. I mean, obviously that may just be me, since I can relate to a lot in this book for obvious reasons. It just goes to show how well Melinda Lowe has improved over the years, and it solidified her as one of my auto-buy and all-time favourite authors. The supporting characters in this were also great. You know, you have Lily's friend who she's been friends with since childhood, who's a bit bratty, a bit up herself, and kind of represents the person Lily used to be and how she used to be perceived by other people. And it's kind of through this friend that you really get the concept of how she's going to be treated by other people once they find out that she's gay. However, you know, it's that thing that I think a lot of us do go through, is that, you know, the people you've known your whole life can potentially turn on you because, especially if they're homophobic and stuff, just because of that they believe certain things about you because you're gay, and treat you differently just because of your sexuality. You know, you almost always have people in your life like that. I'm out to most of my friends and family, but I've deliberately not told some people because I know for a fact that they're probably going to treat me differently once they know, and I honestly just can't be arsed dealing with that, because I don't really want to give their homophobia the time of day, so I just don't tell them that I identify as queer. I'll just, like, you know, keep that kind of to myself, and I won't mention that, you know, I like women and men and stuff until it really becomes relevant to the conversation. You know, I'm going on a date this week, so it might actually become relevant. You know, it's a reality for almost all queer people, and I kind of like how it was handled here. Sort of, you know, you've got that almost... you've got that sadness that Lily kind of has towards this friend because of the way she begins to treat her. But also just that kind of, well, yeah, that this is like your problem, not mine. You know, I have no reason to feel ashamed of this. This is you that's deciding to treat me differently when I'm exactly the same person I've always been. It was just really, really well handled. And there's also just the kind of group of gay women that Lily and Kath meet in the club and form a sort of friendship with, because they're all kind of, they all end up being kind of regulars there. There's almost an element of found family to them. Again, just diving into that kind of sense of community that you can have between gay people, and how most of the time, and especially during this time period, you can just form a community based simply off your sexual identity, so that you have people who understand you and understand what you're going through. Now obviously that's not a sort of, you know, blanket statement, you know, gay people aren't just friends with other gay people because we're all gay. It's very much a case of, no, but like, I understand you, so there is just that almost like that sort of like just shared understanding that you almost automatically have. As someone who I identify primarily as asexual, and I can't tell you how insane it feels when you find another ace person or a group of ace people for the first time, and you just completely understand one another when you're talking about dating and relationships and all these things that I think, particularly the ace people in particular, only really have that understanding with other ace people because we're kind of, you know, off to the side away from all other allosexual people. And it's just that weird kind of excitement of just being like, yeah, I feel that too. And it's always just really good fun, you know. You can always, whenever I find what I will refer to as baby aces, so people experiencing them for the first time, you can just see the looks on their faces when they're like, oh my god, it's not just me, somebody else feels this, and it's okay to feel like this. It doesn't make you firm friends, but there's just that shared understanding and comfort in knowing that it's not just you. And like, yeah, this book just really captured that feeling so well. Really, I have nothing bad to say about this story. I cannot recommend it enough. We're going into Pride Month in June, so if you want a book to read, I would highly recommend Last Night at the Telegraph Club. The writing is fantastic, the story is just so sweet and amazing. I just cannot gush enough about this. Like, it's so good. I read it so quickly as well, and it was just, I mean, first of all, I also really love this cover. Like, I just love the composition. I just like, you've got Kath and Lily kind of illuminated by the light and stuff. I really like it. And as well, like, if you're interested in sort of like San Francisco in the 50s, you know, they do actually like, sort of go through some historical events, such as the, now she's the first lady of China at the time, or something, like some similar sort of idea. When she comes to visit America and stuff, and kind of what that represented for the Asian American community, you know, really, really interesting stuff around that, as well as Lily's friend decides she wants to run for kind of like a local beauty pageant contest and be Miss Chinatown sort of stuff, you know, things like that that just really, really solidify the setting that you're in, and just like from somebody who doesn't know really anything about American history and recent American history and stuff in San Francisco, I don't really know anything about that. That's not something we get taught. You know, it was really, really interesting to then also hear about stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a really, really great historical book that is about just these two girls finding love with one another. So that's it for me today. Have you read Last Night at the Telegraph Club already? Please do let me know down below. I would love to hear your opinions of it. Did you, if you were a queer person, did you relate to this as much as I did? You know, let me know what you thought down below in the comments. If you reached the end of the video, feel free to leave a like and feel free to subscribe. I post 2 videos a week. If you're looking for my Pride Month recommendations and stuff, I do have a video from last year that I do go through quite a lot of books with characters and authors from all across the LGBTQ+ spectrum. And I'm hoping as well to sort of have like a sort of updated list of that coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that if you want some recommendations coming your way. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.